After surviving the console wars of the 1990s,
The Bit War veterans are invading your podcast
to bring you gaming intel.
and old tales.
Together, we are your hosts, Maxed Inventory
And Miao Te Ching. And we are the
Bit War Veterans.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Bit War Veterans. Thank you so much for keeping up with us.
The 1 month late episode.
We've had a lot of personal developments in this last month, which we will touch on a little bit later in this episode.
Why later? Let's do it now.
Okay, let's do it now. We've had a lot going on with us the last month, our personal lives. I know you don't know very much about Miao Te Ching and Max Inventory, but we're going to take this time at the top of the episode to share with you.
To give you the bottom line at the top.
Bottom line at the top of the show.
We're giving
I like
you the
that.
bottom line at the top of the episode. So basically, here's what's going on. Pretty soon, we're going to be known as Miao Te Inventory. Or Max Te Ching.
Max Te Ching has a nice ring to it.
Max Te Ching.
But, yes,
We're getting married.
The old ball and chomp chain.
I will be Mr. Pac-Man, and she will be my Mrs. Pac-Man. And together, we're going to eat pills and get strong and
Chase all the ghosts back to the house.
chase all the ghosts out of our lives together. It's a wonderful thing. It's perfect for spring. Well, we're in summer now, but it was going on during spring. And there's another caveat to that.
I will announce this for Max Inventory. He will be joining the United States military. He's gonna be in the army now.
Well, I hope it's the U.S. Army. I'm not sure if another army will take me, but it is indeed a big step going on here, and I may be absent for the next couple of months coming up as I go through my rigorous training as part of the world's best army.
But have no fear, we will be reunited when he is done with all of his training. So I'll be taking the reins of the podcast
Scary.
for the next few months, and then when he's back from his advanced training, we will be continuing the podcast together.
And then I'll be a real veteran.
Yeah, so we're going to be transitioning to military life, and I'll be a military wife. Oh my goodness.
It'll be weird, but she'll be able to get back to the work she originally wanted to get into. Not that working for the theater is a bad thing, but it's just not exactly what we want to keep doing for the rest of our years. And for me, I've always wanted to serve, be a part of the force that protects this great nation. Please keep me in your prayers, but don't worry, I'm not signing up for infantry. I'm trying to be an electrician and change light bulbs or something.
The army needs to depend on men like you to see when they turn on a switch.
To light the way. Or maybe I'll continue with the carpentry. We're going to find out. We don't need to give those details away, and it'll probably all be classified. Because I'm going to be a secret agent, man.
Well, I think that's a decent enough excuse to have missed last month's episode recording. Like what, planning out a marriage and a future military career? I think that's a good enough excuse.
I hope so. We're also making it all up, so, really I'm just going to take time off because I don't want to do that.
No.
So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
Now we're going to start with some retro gaming news.
And some modern gaming news.
And then tie it into some modern gaming news because we just can't stop talking about the Nintendo Switch. We are not really going to touch on E3 things. We're going to do a separate, more E3-centric episode, and not in a month.
We're going to try and repay our lateness by giving you 2 episodes this month. Ideally.
And then we will read our Twitter topic, which is, what are your favorite weapons in video games? Wow.
It's going to be a blast.
Then we have Game & Watch Radar with 2 different games connected by a thin string. It's kind of interesting how this works out.
One called Lost Sphere
and the other tiny metal.
So without further ado, let's get into it for you. So let's start with the old.
The old is always being tweaked by the new. So right now, Battletoads, one of the hardest video games known to man, has a 4-player co-op mode. What? If you download a ROM of Battletoads, you could go find the ROM hack that adds in a 4-player co-op mode, and you and all of your buddies could play Battletoads together.
I cannot even recall if the original NES even had a 4-player multiplayer
No, Battletoads
controller setup.
I'm sorry.
Not the game, the system.
Oh.
Do you remember if Nintendo had a multi-tap, they used to call it?
I know the Super Nintendo did.
Sure, so did Sega.
All right. Did NES ever have one?
I don't
know.
recall. If they did, I bet it was like 3 games that used it.
But yeah, if you want to download a ROM of Battletoads and an emulator and Google up this 4-player co-op ROM hack, you and your friends could play it. Couch co-op, like how video games were meant to be played.
Just don't pick the option where you can hurt each other. That would probably be madness.
Oh, maybe you could have like an unofficial 4-player fighting game. You could fight each other on that first screen.
Pretty much. Just start a level and then, go at it.
So they say the game runs fairly smooth with 4 players. They said for some reason the 4th player sprite will change colors every level. But other than that, it's cool run-ins.
I'd be interested, but I don't have any other friends.
Oh, you can play with me and your cats.
Another new version of an old game coming out is that good old Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove.
We keep on shilling.
We got some information that it might be coming out, or should be coming out, before this holiday season. And if you remember our breakdown, we talked about a lot of the different Earthling enemies and friends and frenemies that are going to be in the game. Well, apparently we didn't even hit the tip of the iceberg, because it's supposed to feature around 60 different Earthlings. So I am just blown away by that number and so excited to see what it has to offer. Coming to Switch, PC, PlayStation 4, and I'm pretty sure the Xbox One as well. Make sure you keep your eyes and ears out for that one.
Next, we have a trailer by Calypso Media. Now, Calypso Media? What kind of games do they do? Well, they do Tropico, one of my beloved kind of tycoon real-time strategy games where you build up your own empire, kind of like if you're the ruler of Cuba or something. One of those kind of tropical islands. Anyways, they've released the trailer for Tropico 6. Tropico 6.
Now, it doesn't feature any gameplay, but it gives some hints as to new methods of transportation coming, building bridges between islands.
And it looks like it takes place in modern times because in the trailer, you could hear a radio in the background and he's going through the channels and you could overhear them saying the UK has left the European Union. So this is going to be a modern day Tropico, which is great.
Usually they're set around the classic Cold War era, aren't they?
Right, yeah. I'm a huge fan of all types of empire building games, city planning games, real-time strategy games. So this is something I'm very excited for, but we really don't have much other information other than go watch the trailer.
And if you've never played any other Calypso games, they also make other world-building type games like Railway Empire, Dungeons 3, and Sudden Strike. So check them out.
In the faraway distant land of China, an old game is going to be revived on the silver screen. And that's going to be Contra. Yes, you heard me correct. There's going to be a live-action Chinese Contra movie.
So there is a teaser trailer. It's really just a really cool logo that, is the classic Contra eagle icon that you shoot to get weapons.
But it's made out of guns.
It's like a Transformer logo of guns. It is pretty cool, and they use some classic music in it, so it passes my tingle test.
So it's being made by Beijing Starlit Movie and TV Culture. Yeah,
Woo!
that's a...
Now say it in Mandarin.
Oh, and the scriptwriter is Y. Nan. So let me just read the synopsis of the movie to you really quick so everyone has an idea of what's going to be unleashed upon China and then the rest of the world pretty soon.
I know, I'll be seeing it pretty soon. I think it's slated for 2019 release.
In 1988, a huge meteorite lands on an uninhabited island in the South China Sea.
That's why they've been expanding over there recently.
Chen and Li investigate, but come up empty-handed.
29 years later.
Chen sends commandos Bill and Lance
These are great names, by the way.
into a combat mission there to defeat the Red Falcon organization. But in the end, they end up facing a completely different enemy altogether. So there you have it, folks. That is your Contra synopsis.
Aliens. Obviously, it's aliens. It sounds almost to me like maybe the little intro or beginning of the movie is like the first game, and then the second, hopefully half or more of it, is Contra Alien Wars. I'm excited.
Just two buff dudes shooting things endlessly.
That's fine. Let's get the cream of the crop of the Asian actors up in there, like Donnie Yen. Maybe we can get some Jackie Chan in there. Make a cameo. He's a national treasure. Well, I'll be ready to do the Konami code when it comes out. How about you?
So maybe if you put the Konami code in your remote when it comes out on Blu-ray, you could get special features. I don't know. I'm just imagining what you could do with a Konami code and a Contra movie.
Or if somehow, like, they come up to a locked door and the little up, down, left, right, AB select start is how they get in or something.
Oh, that'd be so cute.
It'd be cheese, but it'd be awesome.
I mean, that's the kind of things we love.
I mean, that's why these darn video game movie adaptations don't work well usually. They like try to be so serious, or they're like so cheesy and off base. It has nothing to do with the actual game.
Resident Evil movies, I'm looking at you.
I don't know what that was just a man who wanted to make movies for his wife.
Oh, he wanted to launder all of his money.
Well, that too, probably. But hopefully they're done, and we can reclaim that series.
Mm-hmm. We don't have to reclaim it in a boxing match, hopefully.
Well, Uwe Boll didn't make those. That was Paul W. Anderson, or Paul Thomas Anderson. See, that's the problem. There's two Paul Anderson filmmakers out there, and I always forget which one is which. But nevertheless, we're going to get Resident Evil back. I mean, come on, the first game practically writes itself as a movie. I don't know how you can screw that up. Maybe they think us gamers just don't want to see the games directly translated to movies, but we pretty much do. Back in the day, what did they pick? Mario Brothers and Street Fighter. Two games that don't really even have stories to be made into movies. And then they went off and all this elaborate stuff. Sheesh. And now they're just guilty pleasures. I love Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. Trust the fungus.
But not because it's good.
By the way, Riff Tracks did the Mario Brothers movie, and if you're not familiar with Riff Tracks, then maybe you are familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000, the spoof masters of movies. That's kind of like their new project, sort of. The original guys kind of split off after the show ended.
Riff Tracks typically features the classic Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy, the classic trio of like the second half of the Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, so if you want to watch a movie, buy the Riff Tracks and watch them make fun of the Super Mario Brothers film. It is hilarious.
Good stuff.
Good fun.
And their other movies too. They do some really good old turds.
You can't polish a turd, but you sure can make fun of it.
And one last plug, if you haven't seen the return of the series on Netflix, it's pretty good. I say kudos to them. They've done a pretty darn good job.
Whoever does the music, wow, they just really hit the nail on the head with the style of music and the dude who sings the theme song and like the weird skeleton band looking people. Oh my goodness, I love it.
Good job. Contra. It's coming. 2019. Flashback to a previous mention in one of our earlier episodes. We said that Nintendo was working on releasing some theme parks in Universal Studios across the world. And one step toward that direction, we have seen that Nintendo files a trademark for Super Nintendo World Amusement Park.
So the rides are expected to open in the year 2020 in one of Universal's parks in Japan.
They listed the organization, management, or arrangement of kart with a K racing in the trademark application. So we might be seeing Mario Kart racetracks. Yeah.
That's all I've ever wanted in life, really, was a Mario Kart racetrack, Mario Kart themes, and with today's technology, I always imagined you could have, like, virtual question marks and items, you know what I mean? Like, you get the item in your cart, and there's, like, a touch screen, and you touch the item you want to use, like a red shell, and then you hit the person in front of you, and their cart gets sent the signal to slow down. You just got hit by a red shell. I don't know.
That could be cool.
I am making this up right now, but I've always dreamed of something like this.
Well, I remember at a park nearby here, there was definitely a guy at a console who, if he saw kids were going too fast or being too aggressive, they could slow your car down remotely. And that was, 20 years ago or more. So they got to be able to pull off some cool stuff. And if not, I'd still just have fun riding around in Mario Kart-looking carts. Please just don't limit it to children. I want to do it.
I'm gonna win.
I'm gonna win. Moving on, another blast from the past coming to us now in the future. Sonic Mania is coming out August 15th. I want it so bad.
I have high hopes for this game. Please do not let us down, Sega.
It looks like classic Sonic with a little bit of tweaks to it. They're even maintaining the 16-bit look and feel to it. I'm just so excited. It'll be coming out on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and of course, the Nintendo Switch. It's supposed to retail for about $20 US.
The company Data Discs, which presses video game vinyls, they're going to press a Sonic Mania soundtrack.
So if you're a record head, you may want to pick that up. It sounds like they're taking pre-orders in July or August.
Yeah, sometime this summer they will start taking pre-orders on that. And just remember, anything Data Discs does, vinyl, very limited releases. These are definitely collector's items. So if you're very interested in video game soundtracks, especially like older soundtracks, they do a lot of 8, 16, 32-bit releases. And cult classic releases.
Like when games were released back on vinyl.
Yeah. Back when games were analog, too.
But they usually have high-quality packaging and they're...
beautiful artwork.
Right.
A lot of times the vinyls are multicolored and just bright and beautiful.
It's good stuff, if that's what you're into. Or maybe a gift for someone else who's into that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So check them out.
If you like that stuff.
And Sega's also been talking about reviving old franchises.
This could be the start of that.
Just think about some beloved Sega franchises you haven't seen in a long time.
We might be seeing Streets of Rage.
How about a new Altered Beast?
Let's see some female beasts, huh?
Maybe a new Jet Set game.
Hey, Crazy Taxi. Shinobi? I don't know. I think I'm getting confused on which games are actually made by Sega, but either way, what classic Sega games would you love to see a return of?
Maybe an Echo the Dolphin.
Echo, I love Echo.
I think everyone would just love the chill, relaxing vibes of a new Echo the Dolphin.
No Man's Sky, but underwater.
Please, no, not No Man's Sky.
Well, I just mean that people found that game, the people who liked that game found it to be very chill and relaxing for the most part. I don't know. I didn't play it. Looks stupid to me.
How about this? A brand new Seaman.
Oh, but we don't have Leonard Nimoy to do the voice anymore.
Maybe we could get Sir Patrick Stewart to do the voice.
Or William Shatner. He's still
Oh,
around.
the Shat could do it.
That'd be a nice little tag team. Plus, he kind of has that like pompous voice that would help the Seaman's smart remarks come up.
Yeah, it's a weird, really weird, obscure Sega Dreamcast game.
Yeah, if you think we're just
Trying to make sexual innuendo, we are not. We are referencing an actual game. And if you don't know about it, you need to look it up.
and better yet, look up the marketing for that game.
I mean, it's one of the strangest pieces of video game in video game history.
I think the good old Angry Video Game Nerd even did a video on it last year.
Well, Sega is very fertile with old franchises they don't do anything with anymore. Maybe with Sonic Mania, we'll see Sega start to revitalize and revive those old franchises that they kind of forgot about and shoved into a closet.
So speaking of release dates, there's a rumor that Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch will be coming out this November.
Right in time for the holidays.
Along with bumping up production of the Switch units.
And it looks like your buddy, Player 2, will be able to help out in your Super Mario Odyssey adventures. Looks like there's footage where Player 2 can control Mario's cap and use that somehow to help him on his way.
Sounds legit to me because in the trailers they were kind of making it a point that his hat, which had eyeballs, I think.
Yeah, like it's its own sentient being.
Right, he's become a new character.
Kind of like the Minish cap.
Oh ho.
So is this the Minish Mario?
The Minish Mario and his spirit cap. So as much as we like the Nintendo Switch, fine piece of hardware, it wasn't very long after its initial announcement earlier this year that they followed up with mentioning that there isn't going to be any integrated voice chat. That in order to use the voice chat, you're going to have to use a app on your smartphone.
Ew.
What? How can you not make the same app to work on the Switch, and then why wouldn't that be built in anyways? Which, I mean, I guess I don't mind if you had to download it, but still, it's weird.
Like, I don't want my phone getting involved with my voice chat in my games. I'm trying to save battery here, Nintendo.
That's an extra step. That doesn't make any sense.
This complicates the process. Do not like.
So some of us were thinking, well, look, it has a jack that you should be able to plug a headset into, just like an Xbox 360 controller or whatever. But no, we finally have one solution made by the company Hori.
And it looks pretty horrible. But no, seriously.
I mean, it's not their fault because they're trying to work with whatever the hell Nintendo has got going on with this. But in the spirit of this coming out in time for Splatoon 2, it looks like a squid. Which squids shoot ink. All right.
How do we describe this? If you do not know what this looks like,
Please Google search.
Oh goodness. So the headset itself actually kind of looks cool. If it was just this headset, I would say yeah,
The
I'm gonna
headset's
buy
fine.
it.
I mean, any
It's cool.
headset should work.
It's like a behind the ear, like behind the head style kind of like headphone with the microphone that comes out.
But it goes into this dongle. This is where the crux of the thing is. Because any headset, that's fine, whatever. A headset's a headset. There's a dongle that will then take the input from your headset and on the other end go into your phone and into the Switch. 2 separate cables. So now we got 3 cables merging into one little stupid box that is the go-between the headset, your phone, and the Switch.
I mean, if they want the Switch to be a portable system, you can't have a dongle with like this, like ball and chain attached to your phone, attached to the headset. This is not portable anymore, Nintendo. This is a burden.
Are you kidding me?
Nintendo. All you needed to do was make it so you could plug a headset into the Switch itself. But no, you couldn't do that. You had to involve your cell phone. Now, what if you're a poor kid and you don't have a cell phone? Huh? How are you going to chat with your buddies then?
And so far as we know right now, you can't chat with random people, whatever. They have to be on your friends list. So anytime you enter a match, let's say you're playing alone and you would like to coordinate, you're going to have to add these people to your friends list and drop them, because I bet you there's going to be a limit to how many friends you could have at one time. And it just seems so cumbersome and silly. You know, in these other games where you automatically join the voice chat, you could turn them off. You can mute players. You don't want to hear their crap. Me, I don't even like to play games with voice chat, so I don't even care. But this is just a mess. This is a mess. It's a wreck.
Nintendo, you had one chance to revamp your online service with friend codes, with making voice chat easier. You done goofed.
Which they didn't even have any on the Wii U.
They did.
Well, for what? I never saw a microphone with a Wii U.
It was like a room microphone. It was so strange. It was not a headset, but it was a microphone you placed on your TV, and just everybody in the room could chat, which is silly because you usually wear a headset to isolate your voice, and so it doesn't pick up all the noise.
Feedback. Squelch.
I don't know, man. I think some of these old Japanese devs just sit in a room and do a bunch of Mario mushrooms, and they don't know what they're doing.
What did I say last episode? It's that old Japanese pride. It's goofing up some of their business decisions over there.
Nintendo. Like, you make such a cool product, and you make excellent games, and then you just drop the ball with so many other things.
They somehow just managed to always get 3/4 of the way there, which isn't a bad number. 3/4 of the way is still better than halfway, but
Wow.
Achilles heel.
I mean, my goodness, you had older systems with better ways of voice chatting and streamlining it.
PlayStation 2.
I mean, even the DS had online capabilities and an internal mic, and you could chat with each other. And you could even buy like other little headsets too. And that was...
Well, then this really doesn't make any sense.
I know. For some reason, Nintendo really wants to, I don't know, collect your data using a smartphone app.
It has to do with that.
That's probably what it all is.
And I'm sure they've got their data that shows any kid in Japan who's going to buy a Switch has a phone, but it's just dumb. And you completely just... I don't know. I think another aspect to this maybe is that if you're using it portably, maybe you could be saving on battery life and whatnot by using this element through your phone. But and then they're probably thinking, well, if you're out walking around playing your Switch in public, maybe why would you want to be talking? And I don't know. Maybe for the same reason I talk on a cell phone anyways. I don't know. Oh, this is so confusing. It hurts my brain to think about. Clean up your mess. We're going to move on.
I thought we were living in the world of like wireless technology and better integration and less stuff needed. And it just seems like Nintendo wants to throw peripherals and extra stuff at you.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. Because I don't even remember if I said this on the show, but privately I told you they took the ideas from the successes of the Nintendo Wii and the DS and said, let's make a lot of peripherals and different models. And I guarantee that's what's going to happen with the Switch.
You're going to have the Switch and the big Switch and the little Switch and the slim Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And the special edition Switch.
That's coming soon.
And the Swooch Switch.
Better believe it.
And the Witch Switch.
I mean, they already have the Splatoon 2 version coming out that's going to have the different colored Joy-Cons and the Pro Controller. I've seen that. Just you wait.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Oh.
Moving on. I got one more piece of news I just want to laugh at for a bit. So, as you all know, I was pretty disappointed with Mass Effect Andromeda. Granted, it's a game you can play start to finish. that has some decent graphics.
Oh, that's a great tagline for Mass Effect Andromeda.
It's a game.
It's a game you can play.
Yeah. And let's be honest, it's not 100% broken, and it's not 100% trash. I think it is right above average. We're talking about a 6. They've been patching it a couple of times coming out, and I just want to bring out in the latest patch, they did some minor improvements to the character creation. Still underperforms compared to the previous games. And they also threw in a couple extra things, including this an extra romance option that they say was originally intended to be in the game. And I'm bringing that up as a point to show how this game obviously just needed more time to be finished. And on top of that, there was actually a decent article from Kotaku.
Wait, did you just say a decent article from Kotaku?
Every now and then they get, 1 out of 8 or something. Even a broken clock is correct twice a day. And they outlined the development life of the game and pretty much confirmed exactly what most of us thought when we played it. A lot of the work was done in the last 18 months. And it shows. So just like the game, it's a decent article that and it illustrates how the sausage was made for this particular hot dog. And
did you say that because there is a gay romance?
It's only Garrus's hot dog I'm interested in.
He's too busy calibrating.
Yeah, I got something for him to calibrate.
So yeah, you just want to point and laugh at Mass Effect that you've gone through a couple of patches and there was clearly some unfinished relationship content that has found its way back in the game, and even after all these tweaks and improvements and adding things, it's still a mediocre floppy taco.
The game overall is a floppy taco. And in response to it, they have pretty much dismantled the Montreal studio that put it together and shelved the franchise for an indefinite time, which was probably going to happen anyways, even if it was pretty successful, because BioWare has released information and a trailer at E3 for their new franchise coming out that the Edmonton branch was working on called Anthem. And we'll talk more about that stuff in our E3 episode. But until then, I'm sorry to see that this is the swan song for Mass Effect. It's kind of an game. And I think Mass Effect deserved much better. May she rest in peace. Goodbye, Ryder. You suck anyways.
Go pathfind yourself somewhere else.
Well, just stay in Andromeda, because we don't want you. Stupid game. Anyways, next! Do you have any more news? I have one more piece of news.
What is the final piece of the news puzzle?
I was actually unaware of this until this news came out, but Square Enix has reclaimed the development control of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So wait, you're telling me that they had lost control of the development?
I don't know if they lost control of it, but they were working very closely with CyberConnect 2.
So CyberConnect 2 does dot hack games and the Naruto...
That was it, Naruto. I was thinking Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, they do the Naruto Ultimate Ninja fighting games, which I gotta say, excellent, superb fighting games.
I played one or two of the old dot hacks on PlayStation 2. Yeah, PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I thought it was solid stuff. They were also responsible for those gameplay trailers that we saw. I don't think the CG trailers, but the actual gameplay. If you remember, there was some leakage of some combat. Well, guess what? They're out. They were not meeting Square Enix's standards, which we all know are kind of all over the place.
I mean, Square Enix sets a high standard for themselves visually, but I don't know. Lately, they've been lacking in other departments.
Well, 15 was a big hit, and it was also what we covered in our very first episode. When you want to get a little technical, Final Fantasy 15 did suffer from some issues, I think tied very much to its engine, which was their in-house engine. They called it Luminous or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think they've canned that.
Oh, great.
I know. Well, they're making this game in the Unreal 4, or what's it called? Yeah, the newest Unreal engine. So hopefully will provide for a smoother experience. So on top of that, the company decision was made wanting to control quality as well as keeping the schedule stable, even though I guess that's an internal schedule because we have no idea when it's going to come out.
Square Enix and schedules.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, they may as well just take the we'll do it when it's done kind of approach.
Square Enix schedule just says out to lunch, so I don't know.
Please give us more time. But good old Naoki Hamaguchi, I pray I said your name correctly. No disrespect, my friend. He is now the development leader of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And if you don't know him, he has actually been working for Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy XII, doing visual effects. He was a lead programmer on the Crystal Tools engine and development staff for Final Fantasy XIII. He's done programming on Final Fantasy XIV. He worked on the 13 sequels. And that good old Mobius Final Fantasy that a lot of people seem to enjoy on the mobiles, but I have not touched because I don't play games on my phone. So that is the end of external collaboration, and from here on out, all the production will be done in-house. On a quick side note, Square Enix kind of botched the Hitman series, and the studio that actually developed Hitman for them, IO Interactive, has actually bought the series from them. So that's weird, but kind of funny, and hopefully they'll do it right and not have a goofy season pass system and poorly received DLC and whatnot, and make Hitman great again.
Just think, the company that developed their own IP now actually owns their own IP. Wow, amazing.
Good on them. But that's all we have for the news, the fake news, the real news, the old news, and the new news.
And non-news.
And now non-news.
And nanu-nanus.
Or as I like to call Shinfo, shitty info. And now we're going to get into your Twitter responses to our question of the 2 months, because we are a little behind.
It's a very interesting topic, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. What are your favorite video game weapons?
In the spirit of breakable, disposable weapons in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, we're going to take your favorite weapons and smash them over your Twitters.
What? On to your tweets. I am Paul Venus.
Paul Venus, thank you for the tweets between us.
Paul Venus says, the VK-12 combat shotgun from Fear. Because if you don't have that gun in your inventory, you're not playing the game right. It's a staple.
Nearly all first-person shooter games I've played, if you're not using a shotgun, you are definitely missing out. They're usually the one-hitter quitter once you're up close and personal, right in the face. One of the best things against the Flood in Halo, I'll tell you that.
Or when you have the shotgun in a multiplayer game and you just kind of like camp inside of a building or corridor and you just, get everyone coming around the corner. Next, we have Punk Rock Bob.
Punk Rock Bob from SLC Punk. Don't die, Bob.
So his favorite weapon is throwing cars and dumpsters at people in Crackdown.
Crackdown? I remember doing that in a Hulk game. I've never played Crackdown, but it was fun as hell in the Hulk game.
So you could even throw cars and dumpsters and crazy stuff at your co-op partner.
Yeah.
Feels good, is powerful, and it makes him laugh.
I think I need to play some Crackdown. Throw down some Smackdown.
In, Streets of Rage, you could throw some random stuff at people, and, you could, like, punch garbage cans, and you could, like, punch fire hydrants and make them shoot, and, like, there's always random things you could just punch and turn into weapons in games.
I wonder if there was ever a Half-Life 2 mod where it was just a map with a bunch of stuff and all you get is the gravity gun. And then you just, run around throwing environmental stuff at each other. Someone needs to make that mod.
That kind of sounds like...
It's only been 20 years later.
Well, hey, what about Half-Life 3? Wasn't that announced at E3? No.
You're never gonna get it. Thanks, Bob. Don't do heroin.
Real ST Bill.
STBs.
Don't get any STBs, folks.
Don't.
Stay away from the STBs.
Stay away from heroin Bob and STBs.
All right. So he likes the Vigorian flail. I hope I'm saying that right. Did you just write that so you could hear me try to struggle to say Vigorian?
Vigorian.
Or is it Vigorian?
Vagarivian.
Oh. Whew. The Vigorian flail from Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden. I honestly can't tell if this was like the Ninja Gaiden they redid on like original Xbox, or I don't know. They've made a few more since then, I think.
And we're the Bit War veterans. We're not the new Ninja Gaiden veterans.
I remember a friend of mine. We'll call him Max Payne.
So there's Max Inventory and there's Max Payne.
He was playing Ninja Gaiden on Xbox on one of the hardest difficulties. And let's just say that game cost him a couple controllers.
Ooh.
Yeah, my buddy used the Xbox controller as a flail. He swung it around by the cord and let it go. And it was like a basement with a big pipe, in it. And it was a Xbox S controller. And it just hit that thing and
not
turned
the
to
S.
pieces.
The S's were the better ones.
Yeah, it was like the cool translucent blue one.
Real ST Bill says that he loves the animation and the sounds when he slices everything into mincemeat.
Mincemeat. And thanks for ST Bills for posting a video of that as well, because seeing it in action was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I hadn't played any of the modern Ninja Gaiden games. So, I was completely clueless as to this weapon.
The next tweet comes at us from Benderman42. And he is a Saints Row fan. He is torn between the Penetrator from Saints Row 3 and the dubstep gun from Saints Row 4. The Penetrator, is that the dildo sword?
It was also in Grand Theft Auto because I played it. I beat people with it, okay?
You know what? They sound like the name of the cars in the Destruction Derby in Idiocracy. Remember the Dildozer? Well, that's the only one I remember. But I love that sequence in that movie.
Yes, and you are correct. It is the big purple dildo sword.
Yeah, I figured. I had to watch a video of what the dubstep gun was, but boy, it does look really fun and really cool. It shoots blah, 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 blahs at people. I think Lucio from Overwatch has taken over that gun.
It's dropping the bass.
It's his right click, right?
Yeah.
Click.
Which, by the way, I play a lot of Overwatch, and Lucio is my main. Heals,
Yeah, my top two are Reinhardt and Lucio in terms of time played. I'm not claiming to be good at all, but I mean, I like them.
Next, we have Duck Surd.
Duck Surd, going Quackers.
All right, this is a good response to what's your favorite weapon, and that is Samus's entire bodysuit.
Samus is a weapon.
Exactly. So he says so many attachments, and every one of them just hammers how badass she is.
I really haven't played a Metroid since Super Metroid.
Oh, yeah, the Metroid Primes are so good.
And
they
just don't like that style.
Metroid Prime 4, they just announced it.
I'm not a fan of it.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
They're so good. But in any of those games, it is true. Her suit is the weapon. The suit is what makes her the badass bounty hunter named Samus.
Once you can run really fast and burn through enemies and certain chunks of the environment, and you could charge your jump where you could fly through and bash stuff. I mean, that right there, right? You do your double jump, and you could take them out. I love the you get the 3-shot ice bolt, and man, Samus is great. Samus has always been very near and dear to my heart. I think that's why I couldn't stand the transition of being in the first-person games. Sorry, guys. I know I'm probably making people angry right now, but I just don't like that.
That's okay. I root for both 2D and 3D Samus.
But now that I have my RetroPie, I am trying to catch up on the Game Boy Advance games that they released, are the classic style.
He never had a Game Boy Advance, so he missed out.
I don't do portables.
Okay. Then what are you going to do about the Switch? Are you going to get one?
I'm sure I eventually will, but
it's portable.
This does not count. It's a hybrid. Next up, Hares 59, because Hares 69 was taken. And he or she or it says, the cerebral boar from Turok 2, The Seeds of Evil. I think I remember this gun.
It was like you were shooting really lethal CDs at people.
And then it would literally like drill into the brain
Yeah.
and explode, right? I remember this.
Yes.
Fantastic weapon. What a cool idea. And very fun to shoot at dinosaurs and whatever the heck else you killed in Turok. Hey, Capcom, bring me back some Dino Crisis, would you? Shooting dinosaurs really is pretty darn fun. Also, running from them is pretty fun.
Also, playing as a dinosaur is pretty fun. When's the last game where you could really play as a dinosaur and eat people? We haven't had a good one of those in a while.
Jurassic Park for Sega Genesis?
Unless I'm thinking of not thinking of one. Oh.
The raptor guy in Killer Instinct. Riptor? What was his name? That doesn't count, does it?
No. Maybe the dudes
Yoshi?
from... the dudes from Rampage?
Ooh.
Maybe.
Which they're making a Rampage movie with The Rock. I wonder if that's what they're filming in Chicago. My sister's fiance is actually being a SWAT team member in an extra in a movie that The Rock is in that they've been filming in Chicago lately. So watch out for that.
Yeah, if there's a Rock movie and there's a SWAT team in it, he's probably in that SWAT team somewhere.
And then we know another guy who's a semi-professional wrestler who's also going to be in an extra in a movie that The Rock will be in that they're filming in England. I wonder if it's the same movie.
Wow. Do we know two people that could potentially be extras in a Rock movie coming out?
And both their names start with R. That's kind of funny.
Whoa.
I didn't think of that till right now.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Next we have Ghetto Gamer Longy Long. And he says, how is this a hard question? Doom in hell with the chainsaw for the win.
In any of the Dooms, right? Across all versions.
Yes, I actually asked him when he tweeted, I'm like, are you talking about like the new Doom or the old Doom? I wanted to get a clarification, and his clarification was any Doom.
I don't know why it became a thing when the new Doom came out to rag on Doom 3. I really, really liked Doom 3. I like all of them. Folks, if you have been hesitating on picking up the new Doom, believe the hype. It is so fun to play, and as long as your system can run it, it is one of the smoothest games I have, smoothest shooters I've played in a long time. Pick up Doom. And you know what? Pick up the old Dooms too, because they're good stuff. Well, Doom 3 is kind of a little aged, but it's still better than a lot of the recent quote-unquote horror games that have come out lately. If you play it without a flashlight mod, it's pretty darn scary. And I love what they've done with the new chainsaw in the new Doom. Where when you use it and you tear apart enemies, it gives you that extra incentive by dropping more health, more ammunition, and fuel for the chainsaw. Next one, Oreo Speedwagon. Yeah, whenever I eat Oreos, they're speedwagoning right into my mouth, I'll tell you that. The hand cannon from Resident Evil 4. That gun makes me happy beyond words. Now, I have not actually played Resident Evil 4. Man, I'm such a old curmudgeon.
Right?
I stopped at Resident Evil 4. I'm like, no, that's not my Resident Evil. And I had replied to him, what about the fully upgraded Desert Eagle from Resident Evil 2? And he's like, oh, I never played that. And just my brain goes, why? Do you know anything about the hand cannon from Resident Evil 4?
I didn't really play through all of Resident Evil 4. I can't comment too much.
Ha! Because it's not that good.
I had fun from what I've played of it, so...
Well, you know what? They're probably going to remake it for the Switch, so maybe I'll try it then.
I think they've remade it on everything since Resident Evil 4 came out.
That has to be one of the most re-released games. I don't know. Skyrim's catching up, so... From the Wastes.
By the way, thank you, From the Wastes, for saving our podcast. We had no idea that we had some errors and some problems with our RSS feed and our host and it communicating with iTunes and some other podcast services. And he was the one who pointed that out to us. We don't use iTunes or we're not Apple product people, so we really just kind of don't check it.
Yeah, well, after 3 episodes, we're like, all right, cool, it's working, it's fine. So
Yeah.
we just, I'm not going to check every episode. Come on.
Yeah, so
We got better things to do.
we should have been checking them.
Hey, we don't get paid. Come on.
Yeah, bad on us, but they don't pay us enough to do this. Actually, they don't pay us at all.
Nope.
Um,
But they are watching.
but they are
And
watching
listening.
and listening. And thank you for saving us because we didn't know that there was errors and iTunes wasn't pushing all of our new updates and new episodes. And many of you, because I noticed our viewership dropped off after the Christmas episode. And I thought maybe we're just, we're not catching on. But I guess it had to do with just iTunes was not sharing our new episodes with you folks. He was the one who let us know about that. Thank you. We would have not known because we probably weren't going to check it until, who knows, next year.
If you use Apple, I'm sorry, because you use Apple. But getting back to his tweet, he says, dating myself, but the Soul Reaver from Legacy of Kain on PlayStation, the scream it made was awesome. Sir, that's what this podcast is all about, is dating yourself. I date myself all the time. I love myself. I'm the coolest self I know. But I know what you mean, man. The Legacy of Kain games were excellent blends of story, action, platforming. Simple, straightforward, linear. Thank you, Eidos. There's a series to bring back. And don't make it open world, for the love of God. Did you ever play any of them?
I rented the first one
Ooh.
and maybe the second one.
You probably had
Oh,
a
my
demo
goodness.
disc or something with one of them.
I actually might have.
They had very good voice acting. Just really cool games, man.
I missed out. There's a lot of games you've played. There's a lot of games I've played. There's a lot of games that we haven't played. Why are we doing a gaming podcast then? No, just kidding.
Because there's too many games.
All right, next we have Meta Philele. First weapon that pops into his head is the chainsaw from PSO. That's Fantasy Star Online. It's a damn two-handed chainsaw sword. What other reason do you need?
I bet it was really hard to get. I never got into Phantasy Star Online, but I did have a classmate who was hooked on it on the Dreamcast. He was pretty much unreachable for the first couple months after it came out. After school, that was it. We knew exactly what he was doing. Going home, doing his chores quickly as he could, and getting on the PSO.
It's one of those extremely oversized chainsaws that's like, maybe comparable to Cloud and his Buster Sword
Right.
as for how unrealistic the size is.
Another good old tweet regular, La Cacalo, says that it's a tie between the Super Shotgun from Doom 2.
Yeah, and the frying pan from the Final Fantasy series, which can be used as a weapon in some of the Dissidia games, and it's like a key item and armor items in many other of the Final Fantasy games. Trust the old frying pan. And what about the frying pan that Princess Peach has in Super Smash Brothers? I always thought that was pretty funny. Just dong.
Was she able to use that in Super Mario RPG? I'd swear someone had a frying pan weapon in that game. She used umbrellas and weird stuff. I didn't really like Peach that much in that game.
She was the healer, so... But I always liked the Mallow.
Yeah, you
a
could use
little bit.
Mallow, yeah.
Yeah, I liked Mallow better.
There's a character. See, now, I have this theory, and I don't know 100% for sure, but I'm guessing that Square, because they partnered for that game, holds the rights to a lot of the new characters they made for that game. You don't see them in any of the new games.
I want a Geno. I mean, I know they paid a little homage to Geno with some DLC for Super Smash Brothers 4, Wii U, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, I want to see Geno somewhere. I want to see Mallow somewhere. I want to see the Smithy Gang somewhere. And yes, she had a frying pan in that game.
I knew it.
Next, we have Ursus Mosky Bear.
Sounds Ruski or Ukraini.
Ukraini Bear?
Ukraini bear. Meow teaching's Hungarian, all right?
And Russian as well.
And Russian.
I'm like a Slavic mutt.
Good old shock rifle from Unreal Tournament. Never really seen the weapon copied. And I think he's accurate when he says that that weapon hasn't really been
Like
copycatted, which you see a lot in video games.
I played a lot of Unreal Tournament, man. Stuff was good.
That's where you can shoot the ball of electricity, then shoot that ball of electricity, and then it scatters out, isn't it? Maybe one reason why that hasn't been copied so much is because that takes a fair amount of skill, man. In such a fast-paced game like Unreal.
That's pretty unreal.
It's very unreal. Sarah Realm 7 loves Ike's Ragnell from Fire Emblem Aether. Sarah Realm 7 has a cool icon of the Breath of the Wild Guardian amiibo, so extra points for that. However, I've never played Fire Emblem.
Yeah, the most I could comment on Fire Emblem is using Ike as one of my mains in Super Smash Brothers. And actually, Ike is one of my favorite characters to play. I know he's not a really high-tier character, but I just like those big, slow sword movements. And then as soon as you hit someone with them, they just go flying. And just bam, they're gone. For Push, their favorite weapon is the hunting horn in Monster Hunter, cracking skulls and tooting buffs.
Well, guess what? This might be a shock to some of you, but I've never really played Monster Hunters.
What have you played? Tell me the 5 games you've played.
Well, good games.
Oh, no, hey, Monster Hunter games are good.
They look really cool, I'll tell you that. I played Monster Rancher. You remember that one? Where you put your music CDs in and it creates a monster based on the CD?
I like how you would put in some CDs and it would be like, whoa, this monster's too advanced for you. You can't use this yet. I had a friend who swore up and down that his Eminem CDs, specifically, the parental advisory CDs, would generate monsters that were, too strong to use at the beginning of the game. Like, he swore up and down they did that because it was Eminem.
It's because Eminem is a monster, a lyrical monster.
He's the real Slim Shady.
Samurai Pixel Cat loves the sci-fi handgun in Time Splitter series. Fucking bouncy bullets everywhere. I really loved Time Splitters 1 and 2. At the time that they came out, they were probably some of the best first-person shooters on PlayStation 2. Did you ever play those?
I know. I rented Time Splitters 1. And I did play it, and that is a fun game. I think Time Splitters, if I remember correctly, I might not be remembering correctly.
They made them on GameCube, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I rented it for the GameCube or PlayStation 2, one of them. And for the longest time, I would play first-person shooters on the console. I would play it like Southpaw.
So did I.
Controller. So that's inverted and another inverted, your forward and backward is controlled on your right side instead of the left side. And your left and right is on the left side instead of the right side. And on top of that, my aim was inverted too. That was weird, really weird. And I want to say it was Time Splitters that didn't have that option. And it forced me to readjust how I played. And now I just play normal. I can't do Southpaw anymore. I can't do inverted anymore. I just have to play, normal sights on console shooters. I think that was the game that rewired my brain. I can't go back now.
I think it's just because you were playing more on mouse and keyboard. So the right hand got used to doing the looking around and the left got used to forward, back, and strafe.
That's possible.
It's pretty much what broke it out of me because I wasn't playing as much first-person shooter back then. And then Counter-Strike came into my life.
Now, we have 2 lost tweets. I cannot find who I was replying to because the name is not there. Maybe they deleted their tweets. Maybe they canceled their account.
Maybe they blocked us. They were so offended we took so long to make this episode.
Yes. So one of them was about some sort of a weapon in a dot hack game. I'm sorry, I don't know what weapon they were talking about. I just see my reply saying, "Oh, dot hack. Those were fun games." And someone else said the Master Sword. And whoever you said Master Sword, I agree. That is one of the most iconic weapons in all of video game history. It's one of the most respected and revered weapons.
Now coming to Skyrim.
Now coming to Skyrim. I mean, come on, it's the sword that kills Ganon. It slays evil. Even though there are more powerful swords in Zelda games, evil is defeated by the Master Sword. So Max Inventory, what is a weapon that you like? What is like one of your favorites?
There's so many weapons in video games. It's such a hard pick. But what I really admire and what I think took a lot of chutzpah, a lot of balls, was the Halo plasma sword. Think about it. Follow me here. In science fiction media, anytime you want to do an energy-based sword, you are immediately going to be called a ripoff of Star Wars lightsabers. It's just so hard to make a concept of an energy blade and not come across as a Star Wars ripoff. I think they pulled it off in its originality. They pulled it off in spades by making it double-bladed. Its construction based upon the race of enemy that it comes from, the Sangheli, or whatever the elites are called. And I love the idea, too, that it sounds like glass when it comes out. I love that sound. But I love the sound it makes. I love the way it's used throughout the series and its cinematics. I used to love having games where it was only swords, or there'd only be like one sword and everyone would run, try and get it. It's such a cool weapon to use, such a cool weapon to look at, such a cool weapon to listen to, and it never really comes across as a Star Wars lightsaber ripoff, which is so hard to do. And that's why I tip my hat off and bow to original Bungie for making that.
Not new Bungie.
Or 343. And when it comes to projectile weapons, ooh, I'm not a huge player of Fallout, but when you're able to start shooting nukes from your shoulder, that's pretty darn sweet.
Yeah. And they leave the little, the little mini mushroom clouds. Great.
Pretty much virtually any Mega Man weapon. I mean, come on. Just the whole concept of his buster and getting your powers from the enemies. It's just, I have too many answers here, but there you go.
Now, when I searched my soul for what is my favorite video game weapon, you always have that first instinct, that this is the one. And I know it's so generic, but it is the Master Sword. But, so
it's iconic.
It's iconic, and I know I talked about it previously. So another favorite of mine, actually two, because they're kind of a good and an evil version. It is Nightmare from Soul Calibur, and his crazy big eyeball sword. It's like a bunch of veins and flesh, and there's a big eyeball, and oh my goodness.
That's what Siegfried became, right?
Yes. And then, in contrast, Siegfried and his sword, you could usually pick a couple different kind of swords, but it's always either that very angelic, almost like a crystal or an ice sword, or just a very large two-handed sword that's just very simple and shiny and beautiful. I've always liked the play between the Soul Calibur swords. And it's also just a brilliant weapons fighting game. Like, you don't see too many weapon fighting games like that.
No. Mortal Kombat kind of brought in weapons, but
You even had that one girl in, like, Soul Calibur 3 or 4. She had, like, a hula hoop blade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an awesome weapon.
And then Ivy's, like, whip sword. It's a sword, but then it could also, like... whoosh.
Remember Voldo with his weird claws?
No, Voldo is gross. Don't mention him. I always said Voldo is like a creepy, like Michael Jackson or something. Like, just, no.
Crossed with Marilyn Manson.
Oh, I hate Voldo so much.
I mean,
no.
I used to call him Dildo. I don't know about you.
Voldo
Especially for how his body was.
I hate him.
You enjoyed killing him.
Yes.
Like,
and
extra pissed off when he killed you.
Exactly. I hate Voldo so much.
Honorable mention here, Final Fantasy VIII. Not one of my favorite, in fact, one of my least favorite Final Fantasies. But the Squall and Cypher's Gunblade looked cool. Opening intro, it's cool, but then when you play the game, it's just like, it's a sword. I feel like it was totally underutilized.
I could just hear all of the clicks of people turning off the podcast when you said you didn't like Final Fantasy VIII. All of a sudden I just heard click, 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 click.
I didn't
escape,
say I didn't
escape,
like it.
Tap, tap.
It's one of my least favorite.
Did you like it better than 13?
Well, yes, it's more playable than
Okay.
13.
All right.
And the characters are more likable in 13. But there is I think a similarity between the two, where the characters to me are just largely unlikable.
And I think an honorable mention weapon is Mario. Hear me out here. In Super Mario RP. Okay, go ahead, say your thing.
Oh, I was gonna say, who knew flowers would give you firepower?
No, but it's not the flowers.
That you can shoot underwater.
Talking about in Super Mario RPG, if you have Bowser on your team, I think there's a glove you could equip and that lets him throw Mario as a weapon.
Oh yeah. I used to like how he'd cast magic. He'd do that really confident, like cocky snap.
Yeah, but Mario as a weapon. I love Super Mario RPG so much. I mean, Bowser gets to team up and like temporarily help you out, but he's still a jerk to Mario. I love it.
I was just going through that like last year, and I didn't finish it. Darn it!
What?
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, yeah, because it's your copy I was playing. We're gonna have to fire that back up.
Yes.
Before I go. I have all these games I want to play before I go to
know.
basic training, and yet all I keep doing is like studying and exercising. Like, ugh.
I know, how normal of you. Stop that.
I know.
You're supposed to slack off and play video games and eat Doritos. What's wrong with you?
We all know soldiers are dumb. Come on.
Crayon muncher.
There's only one job, and that's shooting.
So thank you, everyone, for sharing your favorite video game weapons with us. It's been a blast.
From the past.
From the past.
A little bit from the near present.
And it also makes me realize how many more modern games I haven't played. Oops.
It makes me wonder if there are more listeners out there who don't use Twitter who are from the older generations of gaming, as opposed to some of our replies that are coming from, I don't know, 2000s onward. Or maybe that's just when guns got more cool, or weapons got more.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Cool. I think because with the more graphical abilities, you were able to have these fantastical weapons that you couldn't really have.
Well, not just graphics, but game physics.
Yeah, physics engines.
The physics.
Because you know what is a great video game? See, it's not. I don't know if it's a weapon. It can be used as a weapon, but the portal gun. Talk about game physics and weapons. Wow.
Oh, yeah, Portal.
Of course, the portal gun. You shoot portals and you do physics puzzles.
Like I mentioned earlier, the gravity gun from Half-Life 2. That entire marketing for that game was based on, look at this physics engine.
Yeah, and you couldn't do that with older games, although there are some very cool weapons in older games.
And then we can get into some weird places too, like real-time strategy games. I love the Tesla coils in Command & Conquer Red Alert series. The Tesla tanks and Tesla towers. I just love that stuff. Sonic Spin Dash, is that a weapon? I don't know.
Sonic's body. Sonic is a weapon.
But thank you very much. Oh, wait. Do you hear that noise? It's
the Game & Watch radar. We have 2 games coming in at our 6 and our 9s.
Whoa.
Woo.
Do you remember that cool game, I Am Setsuna, that hit somewhere in the middle of Knight's Return to Form, but could have used a bit more in the RPG department, made by Square Enix's subsidiary, Tokyo RPG Factory?
That was kind of like Square Enix's little studio pet project to kind of get back to their roots and create more classic style JRPGs for the modern audience.
Gameplay and combat were similar to the classic Chrono Trigger and had other elements of classic RPGs, as well as being very story and character driven.
And very atmospheric, with just a very somber, snowy world and a beautiful piano-only soundtrack.
If you haven't played it or seen some videos, please check it out. because the makers are following up with a new game that looks like it is responding to the gamer feedback, which is kind of rare these days, right? And that game is called Lost Sphere. It places you in the shoes of Kanata, a young boy who is witnessing his hometown disappear. In an effort to restore the world back to normal, Kanata and his buddies set off trying to rebuild their town with memories.
Once again, it's kind of a reoccurring theme in Japanese RPGs. People forget stuff, and then you have to play through the game, and they remember things again. Memories!
Already from the promotional video, this game, like I mentioned, looks like it is responding to the criticisms of I Am Setsuna by showing off a larger variety in environments that you'll be traversing throughout this game.
Where I Am Setsuna took place mostly on a snowy planet, there are many different backgrounds and environment types and just color palettes, which was a big criticism from I Am Setsuna.
With a revamped active time battle system where players can strategize and adjust their placement in the middle of battle, seamless environments, and maybe a slightly less depressing overall tone of the game.
And yeah, the soundtrack, it seems to be like fully orchestrated with a lot of different styles, once again, to complement the different art styles and environment styles, which I Am Setsuna lacked.
The world map in particular to me looks so beautiful. It's like classic Final Fantasy 6/3. You know, that kind of mod, what did they call that? Mod 7, Mod 6, where they flatten the pixels and give you that illusion of scrolling world. Oh man, it looks so cool. I love it. But 3D-ized, of course, it doesn't look so cheap and dirty. The soundtrack. There's a pre-order bonus for Lost Sphere that will have 2 special soundtracks by the composer Tomoki Miyoshi, exclusive at the Square Enix store. Lost Sphere is due out sometime next year. I don't think there's an exact date yet. It'll be for the computer, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch currently for around $50. And this is key because Tomoki Miyoshi is also involved in the creation of the next game on our Game & Watch radar.
And that game is Tiny Metal. Tiny Metal. Now this is a spiritual successor to an Advance Wars style game.
Another Game Boy Advance classic, right?
Right. And if you're not familiar with Advance Wars, then you could think maybe something kind of like maybe Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, where it's like a grid-based, turn-based strategy game. And it's all about tanks and troops and airplanes and bases. We haven't seen an Advance Wars in a long time. So the game is being developed by Hiroki Kikuta. And if that name sounds familiar to you, this was the person who composed music for The Secret of Mana. So we have someone who was an old composer who is now a new developer.
I did a playthrough of that way back when we started this show, and I love that game. Not because it's necessarily a great story. It's actually very simplified. Part of that is due to the development process of that game. If you look more into that, it was originally going to come out for the good old Super Nintendo disk drive add-on that never happened. So they had to severely cut the game down to make it fit onto a Super Nintendo cartridge and cut a lot of the story content. And the translation was rushed. But boy, does that game have great music.
Right. But that's not who's composing music for Tiny Metal. No. Actually, the composer from I Am Setsuna
And Lost Sphere.
Tomoki Miyoshi is composing for this game. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We kind of picked 2 games on our own. Like I picked Tiny Metal and he picked Lost Sphere, and we were kind of doing some research about these games, and we found by coincidence that they have the same composer. That is so cool.
It was meant to be. Very serendipitous, so we had to put these games on our Game & Watch radar, and we hope that you will find them interesting as well. It's time to bring back the classic strategy and RPG games.
The game was in development already, so they had a Kickstarter to just help fund it. It's been in development and it should be out very soon. You know, it is an indie release right now.
Like this year, very soon?
Yes, like this summer, very soon.
Whoa.
Like very soon. So keep an eye on that. They've been taking this game to some of the latest game shows and conventions, and they have playable demos and quite a bit of gameplay footage. So we know it's coming out on the Switch, the PlayStation 4, the PC, and Mac and Linux.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm glad we get a game like this coming out for Linux. I'm all for games for Linux.
We are all for Linux. Screw Windows 10.
There is a prototype you could download right now and play. And if you've never played any game like Advance Wars, and if you're not sure you're going to like the gameplay style of it, give it a try for free.
And if you'd like to know more about Lost Sphere, you can go to lostsphere.com or go to Square Enix, their website, where their store has the pre-order bonus with the soundtrack. Well, hopefully we can come at you with a second episode, cram it in the very beginning of July, based on some of the E3 crap that's come out. I'll tell you right now, there's not a whole lot to look forward to if you haven't seen anything.
E3 felt a little bit empty this year, but we will save all of our sentiments and opinions for the next episode.
We've hit our fun limit for today, so we have to wrap it up.
Yes, so we've hit our fun quota, and if we go any more fun than this, we will be fined.
You know those fun police who like to come and point fingers and shout names and shut your fun down. You know who you are. Just know that we're armed.
We're armed with fun cannons.
We'll blast you with fun and puns until you can't take it anymore. We thank you all for anyone who's downloaded and listened to this podcast this far, this long, this many episodes, or maybe it's your first episode. Check out the other ones.
I swear we sound more coherent in those.
I haven't had that much gin this recording. Only a little bit. I've only had a little bit of gin for this episode.
Well, thank you, all of our loyal fans who keep tweeting at us. And if you were subscribed to our feed burner or RSS feeds, just please double check them, because we've had some trouble with them, like I said before. And I just don't want you folks to, lose contact, lose updates when we're making new stuff. So just double check those links, make sure they're working, make sure you're getting the new stuff that you're supposed to be getting. So we hope that doesn't happen again. We're newbies at this. Please forgive us.
I'm just a man out of time trying to exist in this world of technology. But if you're a new listener and haven't been following us on the Twitter, you can do that at BitWarVets.
You can follow me at MeowTeiChing, MEOWTECHING.
And by the next episode, we will officially be husbando and waifu. And if you need to switch over to the correct feed, because I don't know why, FeedBurner's whacked out right now, that is bitwarveterans.libsyn.com/RSS.
Bear with us.
But even by switching to the Libsyn, you won't need to ever change that unless we drop Libsyn as a host. So do it. And until next time, remember, if you're listening to this show, then you and we are
Bit
War Veterans!